There are some really big features and systems coming soon, as big as anything we've built for this game. And the amount of resources that we've poured into these has been massive across almost every aspect of our team to do it. Those will be coming out soon. I don't have a date that I can announce right now. Hopefully, it's something that we'll be able to start talking about sometime in the near future. But I am very excited for them, and I can't wait to see people's reactions. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Salosa, and we've got a brand new interview here from the new game director of Overwatch and Overwatch 2, and there are some spicy bits of information here. Now, this interview has been conducted by the legendary Tamer Hussein from GameSpot, so big shout out to him, and also I'm going to put a link in the video description below. Also, Aaron, if you want to talk, just come and talk to me. Let's do it, Aaron. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm sure we can work something out. Anyway, grab a drink, guys, because this is I've got my morning tea. Because this is going to be one hell of a video. There are so many things to go over here. But we're just going to hit this. We're going to go over the interview and we're going to react to what's being said because there's a ton of information. All right, then. Get a drink and then let's do this. All right, then. So he gets straight up asked, how does it feel to be the director of Overwatch now? Well, it's exciting and it's overwhelming at the same time, but in a good way. The reason that I'm excited to be game director on this project is because I love Overwatch. I love this game. I love the universe we've created for people. I love the heroes and the locations in it. And so any chance that I get to be able to make any sort of impact on the project, I jump at it. And then I love our team. The Overwatch team is incredibly talented. They're passionate about what they're working on. And they're also just really, really great humans. So anything I can do to help in the transition to help them feel that they're able to be more passionate, more creative, and to put more of themselves in this game, I'll do it. Okay. Yeah, it's a PR response. He's not going to say, oh, I hate the game. Whatever. He's going to say, I love it, whatever. But I've got to tell you that Aaron really is, like, he's the most genuine guy ever. I've met Aaron quite a few times. And, he is OG, right? Like, when I think of, like, OG Overwatch, I think of, like, I'm going to miss names here, so I totally apologize. But I think of Scott Mercer. Obviously, you think of Jeff Kaplan. You think of Aaron Keller. You think of... oh my God, Jeff Goodman. You know, these are the names that come to you, but there's a load more people that I've completely missed out there. So Aaron is one of those guys, right? Been here since the start. Interesting question. How long has Jeff Kaplan's departure been something that you as a team know about? How has that been factored into your development? And what has the impact of that been? A lot of people would ascribe the entire vision for Overwatch to Jeff, but obviously that's not the case. But what has the impact of him leaving been? Yeah, it's really interesting because Jeff will do regular development updates for this project, and he would always start with, hi, this is Jeff from the Overwatch team. And as much as he possibly could, he's trying to put the focus of the game on the team and not himself. Maybe it's the reality of the way communities form that a lot of times there's someone out in front that you know is the spokesperson or becomes like the poster person for a particular game or property, but at the same time, this game is built by the team. Jeff and myself, there are a few ways to look at the position, but one of them is we do the least amount of things for this game. We're not opening up the editor and building characters or animating them. I think maybe Aaron did back in the day because he made King's Row. I'm pretty sure Aaron's the one credited with that, so... or building maps for the game. That's everybody on this team. Obviously, he never built the entire thing, but he probably made the layout, right? Or something like that. And so I get that from the outside. This can look alarming, and this can look like the entire team's just left, or the vision holder for the game just left. But that's not the case. The team is the one that's carrying the torch forward, and they always have been. The Overwatch team was started in 2013. Our senior leadership group are all original members of that team. We have so many people that started this project and are still there, and we have brought so many other people on that these incredibly impactful creative members of the team. All of us together are the ones that are bringing this forward, and I'm happy that I'm able to play whatever role in that I can. Okay, so that's not as much of a spicy response. Like, it would have been spicy if it was like, well, we didn't know, Jeff just walked out that day, oh my God, it hit us like a steam train, or... yeah, it's been planned for a while. I don't think we'll ever really know, but I'm going to go full conspiracy theorist and say, given Jeff's goodbye message was literally a paragraph, Jeff Jeff obviously just walked out that day, honestly, because it doesn't, like, where's the transfer of power? Like, where's the video saying, hey guys, I'm Jeff from the Overwatch team, and this is my last developer update. I'm bringing in Aaron Keller. Aaron Keller comes in, and there's that kind of thing going on. There was none of that. It seemed like a big F you, I'm out of here, I can't take this anymore type of thing. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, I need another drink. I told you this is a big boy interview. There's a lot of questions here. Okay, let's do it. Let's go into this bad boy. You spoke about the developer updates, so can we expect, hey, this is Aaron from the Overwatch team in the future? Is that something you're going to take on? Aaron laughs and says, it's important for us to communicate with our community. I can't speak to exactly what all of the updates were to look like or what the ways that we're communicating are going to be, or that we communicate are going to be. We're talking about several things right now, but we're going to be doing going forward, but I'm not exactly sure what form all of them are going to take. But yes, I will be talking to the community. I mean, it would be weird if Overwatch didn't have dev updates. Like, Aaron has got to come out there and do a dev update. Like, he's got to take over that mantle. And yeah, like, it would be really weird. It's because it's more so than just like the devs talking to the community. It's a marketing tool for Overwatch. They get tons of views. Like, some of these would get millions of views back in the day. And there's no reason why they can't get that now if the content is good. You got to remember, guys, we're sitting in like an ungodly content drought for this game. Like, it is sickening to the point of just like madness. So, all right, let's move on. We've heard a lot about Overwatch 2 and what you want to do with it, with the PvE. But speaking more broadly, including Overwatch and Overwatch 2, because they're both going to be active, what is the vision for Overwatch from you in a leadership position for the franchise going forward? Okay. This could be a massive answer, but yeah, I mean, I think you could probably write pages and pages as a response to this because it's such a complex question. But let's just see what Aaron says. Yeah, that's a great question. I was lucky enough to be in a role previous to this where I was really well connected and aligned to what the vision of both Overwatch and Overwatch 2 were. Coming into a position like I am right now, we're mid-cycle on Overwatch 2. All right, I don't entirely know what that means, but I'd imagine that means we're in the middle of development. That could mean we're at the 50% complete part, or it could mean we're like really stuck into development of the game. Like, you know, we're really getting in there. We know what we're doing. We're making this game. Concerning, because what does that mean? Overwatch 2 comes out in 2022? Surely not. Well, no, it'd have to. What am I talking about? Of course it's not coming out in 2021. I mean 2023. Okay. Maybe I'm a bit tired. I probably am a bit tired. Drink more tea. I've got this very bright monitor shining in my face. Oh Lord. All right. Oh my days. I don't think it's right for me to suddenly make a bunch of big changes to either one of these games. And I think what's nice is there aren't really huge changes to that I do want to make to either game because I've been so involved with both of them. So this is reassuring, right? This is Aaron saying, look, I've been involved in the design of these games. Jeff leaving isn't, oh God, the game's bad. Jeff's gone for other reasons, right? The game's okay. And Aaron was there building the game with everybody else. So nothing is really going to change with the game itself. And that is reassuring, right? This isn't reassuring. We're mid-cycle. That needs clarification because what the hell does that even mean? Anyway, I think for me, Overwatch 2, there are two halves to it. And I know we've spent a lot of time talking about what the PvE side of the game is with our hero missions and our campaign and progression system that drives all of it. But the other side of the game is just as important, if not more important, and that's the PvP side of the game. We have 60 million players. But Warzone's got 100 million. This is the problem, right? This is where the Activision Blizzard come down on you and go, you guys, you made a good game, but this game over here has got 40 million more active players for reasons. Sort it out. It's such a complex question to talk about, and there's so many different aspects to that. Because if you think of it this way, right? A game like Warzone is free to play. Overwatch isn't. Warzone's also full of hackers and it's got all of these other problems, right? But then you look at stuff like monetization systems, things like battle passes. Overwatch doesn't have any of this. Overwatch is basically a really old game with the way it's built. So if it was free to play, would it have more than 100 million players? That's the big question, right? But also you need a battle pass and all of that stuff. Probably would, right? But then what is a player in these 100 million figures? Is it somebody who literally downloaded the game and played for 5 seconds? I can well, spoiler, guys. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is, right? So, anyway, that whatever. Let's move on. Oh my lord. Okay, so with 6 million players that love that side of the game and are attached to that side of the game, we know going forward we have to make the next best version of a team-based shooter. So, to me, yes, there is this PvE side of Overwatch 2, but I'm very focused on the PvP side of the game, and I want to make that as compelling as we possibly can. Okay. Do you expect there to be a change in ethos when it comes to design, development, and deployment? From the outsider's perspective, the Blizzard way has always seemed to be that you have this group of people who work intensely on something and then release it when it's perfect. But modern games in the same stable, your contemporaries, have a lot of people working on a project. They rapidly iterate and then they push stuff out super quickly. This is a good question. And that maintains constant engagement. Do you foresee Overwatch and Overwatch 2 sticking with the slow and steady pace? Or are you thinking we need to be the same way that Fortnite is, a new piece of major content every other day? Okay, this is a good question because this is what's killing Overwatch. Now, I understand that Blizzard does want to make super high polished stuff. It spent a lot of time on Overwatch, gave us a great game. But in this day and age, what tends to happen is games are competing against everything, right? You're competing against Netflix, competing against movies, just any kind of entertainment, and also other games. And if your game is perceived as being stale and doesn't have any like new content, then players will just erode away and go to things that are fresh, that are updated. Now, this has the whole issue with like the content creator economy, where content creators need new stuff to make videos on, to talk about, because that's what people are interested in. Yeah, you can. I mean, if you look at my channel, right, you can do stuff like Overanalyzed and all these great shows. They're awesome, but ultimately, when it comes down to the most impact, what is that? Well, it's new content in the game that you're playing. It's not all these videos that you make. It's not gameplay videos. It's not guide videos, all of that stuff. It is like, this is a new feature, let's play it. This is a new thing, a new hero, a new whatever. That's what gets eyes on the game. So they need more of that, and they haven't had that since, well, they haven't really had it since 2017, have they? I mean, like, if you look back at the years, yeah, sure, there's been hero launches, which have been great, but not really much since then, which is a bit of a shame. Anyway, let's see what he says to this, because this could be a good response. One of the values that Blizzard has is to commit to quality. We're always looking to make the very best version of anything we can make. But I think that there can be a tendency to cling to that and maybe hold on to pieces of content or systems that we made longer than we should. Oh. So for Overwatch 2, I think this is a game that players really want to play, and it's a game that I would like to get out to the community as soon as possible. So we're going to make a great game that we're really committed to. Ooh, amazing as possibly can. And the last thing I want... Okay, this is really interesting. So this here, this might be... So, but I think that there can be a tendency to cling to that and maybe hold on to pieces of content or systems too longer than we should. This might be, talking from experience, this might be Aaron saying, we've made things in the past for Overwatch that have taken too long. They were good enough and they could have gone out, but because we wanted them to be absolutely perfect, we've held on to them. The problem with that in this day and age is months and months can go by before a new thing comes out, whereas you could release the new thing and then start fixing it as it's live. Now, I'm not saying that's ideal. You don't want broken things going into the game, but still, that's a very interesting statement there. That is the biggest statement I've seen so far in this interview. That is very interesting, because that might be a change in philosophy there, where they're going to say, right, we're going to push things out before, like, let's just say hypothetically Blizzard had like a grading system. So out of a score of 10, you needed to get to 8 before you could launch. Maybe they've dropped that down to a 6 now, so they're prepared to launch a bit earlier. Could, again, be a reason why Jeff left, right? Maybe Jeff wasn't willing to do that. Okay, let's move on. But we recognize that it's something that players are waiting for, and it's something that's important to put out there. So we're doing as much as we possibly can to accelerate the development process for it. Again, talking about accelerating development. Going forward, I think that, especially for Overwatch 2, players ought to be able to look back at what we've created for Overwatch 1. We have created almost as many maps for the live game as we did for when it launched. Yeah. Yeah, they have, but like, you got to think this is going to include like the arena maps and stuff like that. Maps that I wouldn't really call mainline maps, right? maps that are used in competitive are the main maps in the game. Anyway, let's move on. We have put a lot into this game. We have brand new ways to play, brand new types of maps and game modes, and we run our seasonal events every year, but we run the same ones every year, Aaron, so great. It's not really an achievement. I think this is something that when I start looking forward, just personally, about what I think we ought to be doing in the future, it's that and more that we need to put out. It's really important for the game and for the community for us to be releasing as much as we possibly can for the game. So this interview so far, we've been told we're going to release stuff quicker and we're going to make more content. This is what we want. This is why I'd love Aaron to talk to me, because I'd just be, Aaron, what's the content? Give it me. What's coming out? What are the major changes here? Why were there delays in the past? Why aren't there delays anymore? These are questions I want to know the answers to. But I'd imagine it's much easier to do like an over-the-phone interview with somebody. Anyway, let's go into this. Also, I've interviewed every Overwatch game director so far, so you've got to come to me, Aaron. You've got to come to me. We've got to make it happen. Overwatch still very much feels like a boxed game in that you released the core game, and then every now and then you release characters and then updates for the events. Whereas most of your contemporaries, Fortnite, Warzone, I mean, all of these games like Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, whatever, they're all fine. But Warzone is the main one, because we've got to keep remembering this is still under Activision Blizzard. And it's exactly what Activision Blizzard are looking at, going, this is one of the biggest Battle Royale games. If it's bigger than Apex or Fortnite, I don't know, but it makes a ton of money. Like, this is a game that's probably making as much money a month as Overwatch has made in its entire lifespan, or something insane. So they want that, right? And that's going to be where a lot of the systems are similar. So I don't think comparing Apex and Fortnite to what Overwatch 2 will look like is entirely accurate. The Warzone thing is going to be exactly where they go. Those kind of games feel like they're live service games. Even though technically Overwatch is a live service game, it doesn't behave like a live service game. Is that something that you're thinking about changing for Overwatch 2? Perhaps it's stuff like a battle pass, creator codes, and the kind of stuff that is necessary. So I want to talk about creator codes, actually. So this is a little bit of a rant, but personally, okay, let's talk completely frankly with you guys. Creator codes are great for creators because they make you money for covering the game. Now, they've got two very strong impacts, right? Firstly, is they make creators produce, on the whole, more positive content because, well, they're getting paid for it, right? As completely cynical as that sounds, that is one side effect of a creator pass system, a creator code system. The other one is it will attract other creators. So if you look very cynically at, so I'm not going to name creators, but you guys can probably go out there and find these people who maybe made Overwatch videos and then moved into other games like Fortnite and then maybe moved into Warzone. Why did they do that? Well, firstly, those other games were much more popular anyway. But then they had these underlying systems support a creator where creators were getting money every time people spent money in the game if they use their code. That is a big, big, big revenue driver for a lot of these people. So if you put that in Overwatch 2, suddenly you might see these big channels coming back to Overwatch 2. Now, you might say, well, Sto, we don't want these people making content on the game. I would completely disagree, because the more eyes you get on your game, the better it is for your game, the better it is for the economy. It's that old adage, right, of every wave in the ocean, like, well, when there's a wave in the ocean, all ships rise, that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, a creator pass system is actually really huge for a ton of different reasons, but I think those two are like the main ones. Okay, perhaps stuff like a battle pass, creator codes, and that kind of stuff is necessary to make a multiplayer shooter competitive in the modern landscape of multiplayer shooters. So, Aaron says, I can't really speak to exactly what will be in there, whether this game is going to have a battle pass or not, but I think I can talk about our values a little bit, because when we design anything at Blizzard, we like to set up the values for it, the pillars for it, and then everything kind of derives from those particular values. The values for Overwatch 2 are that we want the game to feel like it has constant heartbeat, and that there are a lot of updates for the game, and that the community knows that it's kind of our first priority moving forward. So again, talking about more content coming out faster, a heartbeat, that would imply, like, you know, it's constantly going, right? It's hard for me to say. Every live service game is a little different. Whether the value is a live service value, I think our value is to put as much time and resources as we can into updating the live game and to making it always feel fresh and substantial. So that's a bit of a non-answer, really. That was, but I think it's worrying that they don't really. I think it's worrying that they don't already just. They must know what the monetization system is for this game. Because if they don't, that's just madness at this point. Like, just come out and go, yeah, there's going to be a battle pass. There's going to be, like, just say it. I mean, I think he kind of is there, but okay. Ooh. What do you think you need to do to maintain long-term interest in Overwatch? I think back to Overwatch's release, and it had an incredibly strong debut out of the gate, and then over time, it kind of petered off. It had little spikes here and there, whereas you have other games that have more consistent spikes. I'm wondering how you're approaching the long term. How do you assure the audience that they can commit to Overwatch once again for the long term? He's kind of asked this question a few times, but I respect this because he hasn't really got an answer to it. So yeah, keep going in. I think it's hard to assure people ahead of time through words. It's something that we've tried to do with Overwatch 1, and I think it's great to hear that you thought coming out of the gate, so this is like standard PR, like talk about the positive thing that you said. We really delivered on that. We continued building new maps and new heroes and new game modes and releasing systems for that. Competitive was released a month after the game went live. It's our intention to operate that way for Overwatch 2. Okay. What does that mean? Every month? Does it mean every month? Anyway. I wish that people could hear that and believe me, but I think they'll see it once the game comes out. We have a lot of big plans for what live content will look like in Overwatch 2. Okay. This is such a massive interview. My tea's going cold. Oh, Lord. Okay. As director now, what is your image of Overwatch's identity currently? And what do you want it to be a year from now, post-release or whatever it may be? Yeah, I think that there are multiple ways of looking at Overwatch, and there are different ways of looking at our fans. And I think some of that is what has led to the development of Overwatch 2. We have a set of players that are very highly skilled, that are very competitive, and are actively really engaged in the PvE side of the game. And then all the way on the other side of the spectrum, we have a group of people that are fans of the Overwatch universe and as a world. They love the heroes, they love the tone of the game, and they love the location of the world itself, but they don't actually play the game. Yes, Aaron, this is the biggest issue with Overwatch. Everybody knows about Overwatch. Nobody plays Overwatch. This is why we're getting a PvE expansion. Sorry. A PvE. Overwatch 2's PvE focus. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. Okay. And so what I'm hoping is that going forward, Overwatch 2 can be the game that is played by a much broader section of the community. I want the game to be just as competitive, if not more so, on the PvE side. We have a lot of really exciting things that we're doing to kind of shake up the way PvP is played. To innovate that we've done to bring the new game modes is really interesting ways of playing to the table. Okay. But at the same time, we want this way for these people that just love this world and its heroes to be able to play the game as well, and to come away with a really special story and deeper understanding of what the world is. And that's what this other side of the game is. That's what we're building. Or at least it's one part of the other side of the game that we're building. Okay. The PvE side of it feels like a way to invite people who aren't necessarily built for PvP and might not have the sensibilities to make that work for them to enjoy the world of Overwatch. But then also, you're kind of creating a responsibility to also feed them new content for the long term. And yeah, this is right. Is that the plan, and are you currently built to do that? What is the structure of the team, and are you going to be able to feed these two heads of the Overwatch monster equally? The PvP side of development is something that I think is incredibly streamlined across the team, and it is something that we're experts at. I reckon there'd probably be a lot of people going, what are you talking about? But anyway, I recognise that the other side of the game is a big undertaking, and there's more to it than building the PvP side of the game. I think the game that we've talked about is a content-based game. Wow. When you start talking about progression systems, especially deep progression systems, you need a lot of content in order to be able to deliver the really great experience for players to work through that. We have a lot of people on our team that have worked on a lot of different projects throughout the industry and a lot of different games at Blizzard. We have people from the World of Warcraft team, from the Diablo team, and even from the StarCraft team. I think that we all recognize the type of game that we're building, and we're building all of the systems in the right content in order to make it really, really engaging and fun for players. So I agree with you. It's a big ask, but I think that was set up and we're approaching it eyes wide open, knowing what it needs to deliver on that. I've been watching what people are saying in response to Jeff leaving, and there seems to be two camps. You get one which is who will protect Overwatch now that Jeff is gone, and the other is, oh, this is kind of exciting because we have new leadership minds in charge. Maybe they'll try and mix things up a bit. How do you feel about those perspectives? How do you respond to the people that are like, our Lord and Savior Jeff Kaplan is gone? Who will protect us from Overwatch becoming a weird Activision Blizzard money machine? Now, this is the spice. This is the question that I will ask. See what this, I can almost guarantee this is going to be PR. This is not, okay, let's do it. I think teams, especially a creative team and a game development team, they're very organic structures and they're entirely formed around the strengths and weaknesses and personalities of everybody on that team. From the newest members of the team to some of the most senior people on the team. A lot of times, what happens when somebody leaves a team, especially somebody in a leadership role, is everyone... I'm going to cough, sorry. Too much talking. Everyone expects a new person to just jump in and do everything that their predecessor was doing. So in a very real sense, we have a Jeff-shaped hole in our team right now. But I'm not Jeff. I'm not. I don't have all the same strengths and weaknesses that Jeff has. I have a different leadership style than Jeff has. And so I think going forward, things will look a little different across the team. Things will look a little different in our communication style to the community. So again, maybe that's saying no dev updates. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's very natural for something like that to happen. I think the common thread through all of this, though, is that the Overwatch team itself and the Overwatch team is still comprised of the same incredibly talented people that have built the original game and have continued to bring it forward. A lot of people have asked me if I'm worried, if I'm scared of things, if I feel a lot of pressure, and honestly, I don't, and I'm not worried. It's not out of a sense of arrogance or overconfidence in myself. It's because I know I've worked with this team for so many years and all of my confidence is placed in them. Okay, sorry. I need to take a bit of an emergency bio break. So where were we? Yeah, this comment. I mean, again, it's not really much. It just says that he's got a different leadership style, which is fine. I mean, obviously he's going to have. And I guess the thing about communication style is going to be a bit different with the community. Might mean we don't get dev updates in the future or we get a different style. We'll have to wait and see what that means. Okay. So one of the things that fans really love about the team as a whole is how vocal and receptive you are to the feedback. One of the things that they want to know is if that's going to change. Do you still plan to have that open communication and almost be reactive to what the needs and wants of the audience are? Yeah, we have every intention of remaining in communication with our community. What that looks like, whether that's always me or not, I think it's probably best left as a process rather than a decision. And I guess what I mean by that is Jeff. Well, I think Jeff was a little uncomfortable as the person out in front of the Overwatch team. It was his value that the spotlight could be put on the team itself. And he ended up becoming more and more focused on over time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it worked out well for us, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. I don't have to be the person that's always communicating our thoughts and intentions or our reaction to what the community wants. If it ends up happening that way, it will end up happening that way. But it could also be that other people on the team that are taking up that mantle. And I think the value here is that we continue communicating with the community. The value isn't that it has to be, okay, this is really interesting. So this might mean that we get multi-dev updates. So we don't just get Aaron. We get, if there's a change to, I don't know, competitive, whoever's done that is the one doing the dev update. If there's a new hero, whoever's designed the new hero is talking about it in a dev update. That could be different. Like I honestly think Jeff put himself out there in front as the face of the Overwatch team because he knew he needed to protect his developers from the internet. Because you get positive comments, sure, but you also get negative comments. And believe you me, guys, a negative comment can like mess your day up. And if you're, working on something and then you glance across, you see a negative comment, maybe it's aimed at something that you've made, it can really debilitate you. So I think that's why Jeff was out in front. But it looks like Aaron wants to change this, which is interesting. It's very strange for the Overwatch team and the various other directors in the industry too, where the expectations of what's needed from them are different from the usual directors. You get normal directors who are just making a game. Then you got directors who need to perform for the community as well. That's a strange place where Jeff was. Did you think about that, and how have you kind of come to terms with the idea that people expect you to be almost like a celebrity figure for their community? I think about that a lot, and I agree with you. Every game director that I've worked with has slightly different focus. Jeff was a vice president at Blizzard, and his focus was really wide, and he was also incredibly capable of handling a wide focus looking at not just the team, but different parts of the organization. My mandate, and some of this is self-imposed, some of this is in conversations with other people across the company and the team, is to focus as much as possible on Overwatch as a game. That's where I'm going to be pouring my creative energy and passion and time building that. So is this him saying that Jeff wasn't focused enough on Overwatch in a way because he was a vice president, he had other responsibilities, and Aaron is just going, look, I am just Overwatch and that's all I work on? I still think Jeff was, because of his position, was having to deal with things above the team. Now, I believe that Jeff has gone. The management can just come down and say to Aaron, you need to put this in the game, and Aaron has to go, okay, sure. Doesn't really have that level of like, no, we're not doing that for reasons. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk to the community and the media in the same way that Jeff did. The guy is so good on camera. He's sharp. He's quick-witted. I mostly stumble through answers and leak things. He does. Yeah, Aaron does leak things. About potential releases that when I have to talk to people. Yeah, oh no. So if you want to do that right now, please go for it. Yeah, there you go. So what you're saying is we shouldn't expect to find you sitting in front of a fireplace for 9 hours come December. Oh my God. I think we can expect for the process to be a little organic, and I hope that our community is open to it and they're willing to go along on this ride with us, because at the end of the day, what we really care about is making them the best possible game that they can play. How much are you involved in the growth of Overwatch as a franchise beyond just this specific release? For the longest time, there have been discussions around free-to-play needing to happen. People think it's an important strategy. Every other game in the same stable is free-to-play. How do those business decisions factor in when you know that they could also impact the health of your game? Are you in a position to make that call and push it up the ladder? Pretty good question, that is. I was saying it like, because you're not a VP. Can you do anything about this? Yeah. I mean, the business model obviously has some impact on what a game is going to look like. It's not everything in a game at the end of the day. You want something, especially for Overwatch, that's fluid, action-packed, strategic, and it's all about the hero. So there is this core of a game that just needs to be excellent, and no business model is going to come in and save any game that doesn't have it. So number one, our focus is on just creating the very best version of this game that we can. Coming into this position, there are parts of the game that I was heavily involved in, and there are parts of the game that I was lightly involved in. And so I think that the parts of this game that Jeff was maybe handling to a greater degree than me, I'm going to have to get more involved in. That's just part of the job. I think it's incredibly important going forward to look at what happens for Overwatch 2 after launch. There's a big part of this game. That's a big part of this game. We discussed it earlier, like what and how much content are going to be releasing for this thing. So it's something that I think is incredibly important and something that I'm focusing on right now. But in a lot of other areas where Jeff did have a lot of involvement and a lot of reach, I'm either going to be looking to bring myself into those or find somebody who can champion that I trust in order for me to be able to spend more time focusing on creating the game. So this is, again, really interesting. This is almost saying that Jeff had too much to do and he didn't have enough time to focus on the game in a way. That's really interesting. Like, you can read that in a ton of different ways. We've touched on this in different ways. But how much are you looking at other games in your competition pool as a guide for how Overwatch evolves? Is it important for Overwatch to remain distinct and of its own flavor, or is it important for you to look at what else is out there and try to emulate some of it? Like we said previously, those are games that are making money and generating massive audiences. Yeah. We're always looking at other games. We're always looking at other just pieces of media, whether it's a game or a movie or a TV series or books, and we're looking at those for inspiration. I'd prefer to use the term inspiration than emulation for the way that we look at other pieces or other things that are out there, because I think at Blizzard, we always put our own spin on things and we have our own take. And I do think that Overwatch occupies its own unique space in the gaming world, and that it's not just a team-based shooter. The world of Overwatch, with the heroes that we've created for it, it is something that's totally unique. This inspirational, hopeful future that we've built, I think it's something also that the world needs and resonates with people, our players and our fans. There's something remarkable about it. Okay, it's not really an answer, but whatever. I think our games are unique as well. There's something about how fast and fluid and strategic that it can be, and the way that every character just feels right when you're controlling them. I don't think that's something that every game out there has, and there are a lot of amazing shooters out there. Activision develops other absolutely amazing shooters that we look at and take inspiration from. Hello, Warzone. But when you get into them and play them, it's not to say that Overwatch is better than them. It just feels different. And for me as a player, for my type of game, every time I launch Overwatch and start playing it, it feels like coming home a little bit. There's just something about this game that clicks with me and resonates with the way that I like to move about spaces and the way that I like to interact with my own character and my own heroes. Yeah, whatever. That's, again, whatever. Is that something that just happens when you become familiar with the experience? And can you achieve that same thing while also mixing up the formula in a very drastic ways, as the audience in the world kind of demands right now? Yeah, you definitely can. We've seen that happen with other games. I recognize there is a risk to doing something like that, but if you look at the launch of Overwatch and when we released it, it was really different than just about any other game out there. It launched with over 20 heroes and 12 maps for people to play on. There was a lot of information to digest, and you could call it a really steep learning curve, but people flocked to it. I think they were hungry for something like that. So yes, there's a danger of making something different, but I also think that's also a lot of times what people are looking for. Yeah, okay. The actual blog post, the announcement was made. There was a line that says new features are coming to the live game very soon. Yes. Can you talk a bit more about what this means, or the time frame which you expect it? You know the Overwatch players have been feeling a bit thirsty for new stuff. No shit. I do my best to speak around it and not leak it ahead of time. Give us a leak. Yeah, there are really big features and systems coming soon. As big as anything we've built for this game. And the amount of resources that we've poured into these has been massive across almost every aspect of our team to do it. Those will be coming out soon. I don't have a date that I can announce right now. Hopefully it's something that we can be able to start talking about in the near future, but I'm very excited. Right then, let's speculate on what this could be, because if it involved, right, so things that could involve every aspect of the team, what the hell is that? Is this a redevelopment of the loot box system? Are we getting some sort of new store in the game? Are we getting some sort? Is it going free to play? That would involve every aspect of the team. It's not going to be heroes, right? Maybe it's PV push gets added to the game instead of saving it for Overwatch 2. But then that would involve adding the push maps, and maybe they don't want to do that because maybe you can't do that because maybe they need the Overwatch 2 engine. I don't know. This is very interesting. But straight up saying like this sets you up for a fall, because you're straight up saying this is as big as anything we've built for this game, and the amount of resources we've poured into it has been massive across almost every aspect of our team to do it. I hope we find out more about this soon, because this could be a battle pass. Would they do that? Like, the thing is, putting battle passes and free to play into Overwatch right now, I don't know about that, like, because that will completely change the game. And maybe that's something they need for Overwatch 2 to give it impact at launch. I don't know. This is really interesting, though. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys, what you think this could be. At the risk of stoking some anxieties, what is the thing in taking this position that you feel is the biggest challenge going into it for you? Something that makes you think, I'm not 100% sure I'm ready for this yet. I can give you two answers here, and the first one is just based on the amount of work and content that the team is building right now. There is so much going on on the Overwatch team, and they're building so many cool things. Right now, the challenge is figuring out the best way to bring all of them together. Maybe it sounds like a good problem to have, and it is a good problem to have, but it's still something that players need to focus on to make sure that we need to focus on, to make sure that the game that we deliver is very cohesive experience to players. I've read too much words and I've literally lost my mind, ladies and gentlemen. And the second thing is, and this is more of a personal thing for me, and it's the thing that I'm most worried about, is Jeff Kaplan was my boss and my mentor at Blizzard for most of my career. We started months apart 20 years ago working at this company, and since Wrath of the Lich King, he's been my boss, and I've always looked to his style of leadership, the way he's approached design problems, and the way he has mentored and cared for people on the team. I've looked to this as an example and as something that I want to emulate. So the loss of Jeff is, in a very real sense, a loss of a very big support system. For myself, I believe that having professional and personal support is very important for people. And so I'm going to just miss that guy. And not as a coworker, but as a friend and a mentor. That's sad, but that's, expected. The Overwatch community can be a lot of things, but it's also very supportive. They want to love the game, so I hope that helps a bit. It's so interesting too, because I think you can see Jeff's love for the game in everything that he did. I just really hope that going forward, the community realizes that not just me, but everyone else on the team shares that. We're developers at Blizzard Entertainment. We're highly valued in the industry, and we could typically go and work anywhere we want to. Yeah. And a lot of them will have. That's the problem. Oh, no. But this is what we're choosing to work on because this is the game that we all love. That's interesting, right? That's him saying, look, so you know what that's saying? We're not doing this for money because we could get more money elsewhere at a different developer. We're doing this because we want to make this. So let's do it. Which is what you want. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to leave it at that. Been a pretty chunky video. A pretty chunky interview. A lot of interesting stuff there. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, especially what you possibly think about the new features and when that would sort of come out. And I'm off now to send messages to Blizzard to go, oi, get Aaron to come and talk to me. They'll probably ignore me, but hey, what can you do? All right, guys, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. Toodaloo.